underserved in our community, maybe dealing with mental health issues in whatever way that is expressed. And we've been doing it now for quite a few years and growing all of the time, survived the pandemic. But one of the ways that you could be a part of celebrating Aim to Empower this month is one of our main partners is the Lancaster Rec Center. We've done classes with them since the very beginning. And they do a very fun street fair that's making its return in full force post-pandemic, and it's called Open Streets. And it's on June 19th. So on June 19th from 12 to 3, 10 to 3, 10 to 3. Aim to Empower will have its table there, and there'll be a million other things. If you've got kids, you can bring them down to the street fair. We'll have a table with some stickers that kids can take home and try a little yoga. So, or seniors. I mean, we're teaching kids through seniors. It does in whatever setting they're in. So the invitation is June 19th from 12 to 3. Open Streets. It's on the streets of downtown Lancaster. All right, let's get started. Come into child's pose. Toes together, knees open, arms forward, and bring your forehead down to your mat. And start to build your breathing. You know, the cool thing about when we teach our AIM classes, maybe the class looks a little bit different than it does here in the studio. Might not be individuals who got themselves a mat and a membership at a yoga studio to show up to yoga, and yet there they are on their mat too. And though the practice might be a little different than ours, maybe it's not quite as intense or we're not quite as doing quite so many poses, but in the end, what really matters, it's what matters here on our mat today, and it's that we're breathing, so we have a connection to self and present. And then it's also that we're breathing in an effort to be connected to the people around us. That's what creates the transformation and the magic where we're leaving class with the results that we in the studio from our practice want, and those who are taking our Aim to Empower classes want. A sense of peacefulness, a sense of being able to manage just emotional disruption. So build your Ujjayi breath so that you can be felt and heard in the space. Start by hearing yourself breathing and feeling your own body breathe. Take a deep breath in and have it last about 4 counts. Hold that. And then a steady breath out. Have that last 4 counts and hold that. Build the breath from the back of your throat so it has this quality. Once you really sense your own breathing, listen for the breathing of those around you. Every one of us wants to be heard, felt, and celebrated. And just by hearing the others breathing around you, imagining you hear Kelly at home, she hears you here, we have this incredible experience of becoming connected. On your next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog. To the rhythm of your breathing, explore your skin, bend and straighten your knees, wiggle your toes and your fingers. And then pose by pose, what we're going to be doing is through our breath and making these shapes, creating more space, more of a quality of having the experience of every inch of skin we've got and filling it up. So right here, before we leave this downward facing dog, maybe step your feet a little more to the back of your mat and take up some more space. And on your next inhale, just stretch your hips back and feel the space you created. Then look to the front of your mat and step to the front of your mat. Once you get there, lift up halfway and forward fold hang. Keep your steady breath flowing and feel what it feels like to take this breath now in this body shape. You could fold your arms and sway from side to side. You could work with how your feet are on the floor. You could maybe open them up wider or feel the pressure in the 4 corners of your feet differently. Then press your feet down into the mat, down into the ground, and opposite, come rolling up to standing until you're standing tall and reach your arms overhead. Look up and stretch up and bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest. Now we chant Om together 3 times for many different reasons, including bringing our breath together, but also just creating the space as a clearing and ready for the practice. So feel free to bring a lot of sound and sensation in these 3 Oms. Take a deep breath in. reach up. Fold for the floor as you exhale. Lift up halfway. High plank to low plank. Breathe out, steady. Inhale, lift your chest, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now 3 breaths. Deep breath in, long breath out. 2 more. This breath might be at a pace a little bit different than how you walked into the room, and give yourself over to it. Inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, step or jump up to your hands. Lift up halfway and fold. Press down into the floor, stand up and reach for the ceiling. Then fold to the floor with a steady exhale. Lift up halfway, high to low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now keep exploring. Wiggle your fingers and your toes as you breathe. Maybe stretch wider with your hands and your feet. Send your breathing into the space and listen for others. One more time, breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees, jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Last time, press down, reach up, stretch, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Even here, stretch. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths, deep breath in. Steady breath out. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit back into your hips and reach. Fold to the floor and empty. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now step your right foot forward and lunge. Warrior 1, arms overhead. Look up and stretch. Then hands back down to the floor, low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward and press your back foot into the mat as you stretch up. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Anytime you need to, take a deep breath in and have a sigh and just clear the space for yourself. 2 more breaths here. Last time, breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit, reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Just drop right down. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and stretch. Reach up like you're stretching out your lungs. Then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side step. Look up from the bottom rib to your fingertips. Reach. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths to just clear the space. To rejuvenate yourself as you breathe. Last one. When you exhale, bend your knees, then move up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Last round, chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward, lunge. Inhale, look up, stretch, hands down, chaturanga, and empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side step. Look up and stretch. Hands down, chaturanga, empty. Up dog to downward facing dog. 1 deep breath in, a whole sigh out. Raise your right leg up into the air, bend your knee and flip the pose over. Keep your breath flowing and settle your eyes just on one steady point. Once you get set, feel what you feel in your body and see if there's any space to maybe reach further or press harder or lift higher. And then once you get to what feels like the edge for you, the end of what's possible, just breathe right there and see what you see in the pose. 1 more breath. Side plank, right hand to the mat, face the long left side of the mat and stack your body up. Now we have the spot we always seem to notice when we get into a pose. See what else there is to see in the pose for you today. Notice what happens when you put your attention and your energy in a new spot. Keep on breathing. A little more reaching, then high plank to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take the left side, leg in the air, bend your knee and flip the pose over. Bring your feet to the floor and reach. Steady and reach. Now, we talk all the time about how our series is adaptable. You could modify it up or modify it down, make it customized to you in any given day. But how do you even know what to do? Always take yourself to what feels like the most or the edge for you physically, and then see if you can still breathe. Start to calm your breathing in the space, and then see if you get some new space in your body where it was tight. Side plank, left hand down. Face the long right side of your mat. So not only is it about some space and an ability to breathe as you're building and creating new space, it's also strength and resilience and powerfulness. At first, all there is the strength of your muscles, but as you learn to stack up your bones and bring into place the principles like putting your drishti on one spot, maybe you tap into another sense of strength, another source of strength. One more breath, high plank to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge for crescent lunge. This pose, we stand on the ball of the back foot, arms overhead. And keep your breath flowing. Now set your gaze. Begin to explore, lunge a little deeper. Stay down deep in the lunge, but lift a little bit higher and look up and keep breathing. There are always new things to be learned in every pose, new spaces to go. Take yourself to what feels like the fullest expression. So the deepest lunge, the most reach, the greatest opening of your chest, right up there at the edge. Take another breath. Feel how that feels. Then hands into prayer and twist. Left elbow to your right knee. So you're going to turn in toward the front leg. So you'll turn toward the doors of the room. That's it. Once your elbows get settled onto your knees, pull the pit of your belly in, and from the crown of your head to the base of your heel, pull your body long apart, and then see what's there. See if as you breathe, you can still expand your chest and upper back. One more breath. On the inhale, crescent lunge, set your gaze, get steady, open your body to warrior two. If your perspective is enduring each shape, each pose, you could shift that to exploring. Stretch your arms a little wider and feel what you feel. Maybe it's better palms down, palms up, palms forward. You decide. Lunge a little bit deeper and see what you feel in your two legs. Tilt for extended side angle. Keep on breathing. Once you get tilted, what's possible here? Usually it's by coming down into the pose a little more and seeing what you see there that you discover strength you didn't know you had. Then you can take variations like taking your arm behind your back or reaching forward with two arms. One more breath here. Then bring your hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left side step for crescent lunge, and just keep your breath flowing. Whatever you're doing with your feet and your arms and your body position, just keep your breath flowing. Then work with what's showing up. However it is exactly perfect. And then just work with that. As you keep on shaping the pose, see if there's something more deep, a little more stretch. Here in the first half of the class, we're adding doing to find space. Later, we'll take away doing to find space. Deep, deep lunge. Reach up and stretch back. Then hands to prayer. Right elbow to your left knee. Right elbow to your left knee. Keep your breath flowing. Take a sigh. A sigh if your body's attitude got bad. A sigh if your brain's attitude got bad. And then reinvigorate. Come back into the skin, into your breath, into your body, and see what's possible. You can open your arms maybe. Maybe you wake up your back leg a little bit more. Bring the whole thing, your whole self into the experience, And then just breathe. Once your whole self is into the experience and you're just breathing, something magical could happen. One more breath. Open up, then come to the crescent lunge. Move to the warrior two and keep breathing. Take a long stance. Take an extra stretch if that's what your body's craving. Once you get all set up and you're ready, the foundation's there, tilt for extended side angle and keep on breathing. Breathe through whatever it is. Little breather, a little coming out of the pose, breathe through that. Getting a little bit deeper, breathe through that. Taking a drink of water, breathe through that. And then just see what you see. Let's do one more breath in this pose. Then hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take just one breath in. Exhale it all out. We'll move with the next one. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. I guess you guys needed that. Halfway lift. It is a Friday. Fold. Now organize your feet. They're the base of all of this pose, and then sit back. By organize, I mean make them parallel to the sides of your mat and put some weight in your heels. Hands to prayer and twist toward the right. Go one breath at a time as you set this up. If you're twisting a way that you think is wrong, don't worry about that. We are going to do both ways. Keep on breathing. Now get down deep into your legs until you really feel all of your ankles and your shins and your thighs and your hips. Just squat down. And then what do you have access to as an opening right now? There's one spot of your body and the experience that spot's happening that's just drawing all of your attention. And what you're dealing with there is like a negative experience of the pose, and put your attention on another part. Get to the place where you can breathe. And then just listen to the room breathing. Really good breath. One more inhale, one more exhale. Chair pose, reach, forward fold. Hook your big toes with your middle and index fingers and keep on breathing. You're doing an amazing job with your breath today. The breath just moves energy, brings in new energy. It heals. It takes out what we're complete with. Physically, emotionally, your practice has a way of doing that. That's why we started Aim to Empower, because that shouldn't be a set of tools that only a few people get to use. Keep on breathing and sharing your breath. Ready for the other side? Chair twist the other way. So set up your feet and sit back. Reach. Get the whole stretch. Then hands to prayer and twist. So how do you know where to go in your body in a pose? You look for getting attention on a space that was like, wow, I haven't felt that in a long time. I didn't know I could breathe and feel space there. And then if that spot resolves itself, go to a new spot. Keep your breath flowing. Just one more breath in this pose. Stay for the exhale. Then reach up to chair pose. Forward fold. Now stand on your hands all the way under your feet if they'll go there. And then maybe even practice lifting your heels up a little bit and putting some pressure in the ball of your feet into your palms. Keep your breath flowing. Let the wiggling around of managing your balance massage your palms. For some of you, you need a sigh and just drop your head down, still working a little more than you need to. We're making a little bit of a transition here, trying it on. What would it be like if we didn't do so much doing and we just did some allowing? Crow pose. You can take crow pose hands down. You can take it seated. You could take a goddess squat or a million other variations, any inversion. Get to working on what's in your practice today. Keep a steady breath. Some of the beauty of our style of practice, Baptiste Yoga, is the most beginner to the most advanced, most physically expressive to the least able maybe to express physically can all practice together. Take 2 more breaths. And on the second one, move to chaturanga. Upward facing dog, to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here, a few sighs to just empty out. Empty out with each sigh. Just stick out your tongue, open up your mouth, and let there be a sigh. Let's do one more. Inhale, mouth open, tongue out. Ah. Get ready to move. Take a breath in. Exhale, bend your knees and jump. Half lift, forward fold. Take your time, roll up to standing and sweep your arms overhead. Right side eagle pose. You can wrap your right arm under your left, squat, wrap your right leg over your left leg, and keep on breathing. Don't expect the pose to be all set up on that first breath when you put your body into it. Got to put yourself in the physical general shape and then make sure your breath is there and you got your drishti set. And then start working with the pose, working with what showed up. Lately, I'm working on a little more wrap and rotation in my legs and in my arms, and a sense of my legs doing a draw down while my arms are doing a draw up, pulling my whole body in two different directions. On your next inhale, step out and sweep your arms up. Then the other side, left arm under, squat, left leg over. Just breathe the whole time you're building this pose. Sometimes what I'm preferring is to really press my arms down into my chest. It's one arm variation of eagle pose that you can do and we don't often call for. One more breath here. Then step out on your inhale, reach, right side, right arm under, right leg over. Give it a second set. Those poses where we get the opportunity for a second set, something more is available. There's a new extra level kind of opening. Maybe you're really feeling it in your lower back right now, a little extra space. Next inhale, step out, left arm under, left leg over. Keep your breath flowing as you do the transition. One thing you are always having permission for is to look around the room and see variations. And you're welcome to try something that you see that you're interested in. You're welcome to stick with it or back off out of it. The one thing I would caution you not to do is to compare yourself, just for ideas. Next, inhale, step out, then right into, hug your right knee into your chest and keep on breathing. You can take your left palm and press it against the inside of your right knee. And then the right arm, it can just reach up in the air. As you press these 2 points together, you might find your whole body locks into a new level of alignment. Another breath here. And then with this nice square pelvis you've set up, reach your right leg back, maybe interlace your hands at your low back or hold a towel or strap, and then begin to tilt from airplane even further into a fallen tree pose where you're coming down further with your bound hands, belly to thigh, lifted leg lifting as high in the air as it will go. Keep your breath flowing. You might find that it doesn't really feel much different than the airplane ever felt, and that's fine too. Keep your back leg really stretching and strong and your eyes set on one point. Release the bind, bring your hands to prayer position. Half moon, left arm to the block or floor, right arm in the air. Keep your breath flowing. Once you get to your half moon and you've had a breath, bend your top knee, catch your top ankle for sugarcane pose. Keep on breathing. You might notice an opportunity for a lot of new space in the quad muscles of your right leg. Take one more breath. Then stretch the whole thing out into the half moon and forward fold. Come rolling up to standing. Hug your left knee into your chest and set your gaze. Get your rest by setting your gaze and breathing. Different from like totally checking out. Take care of yourself when you need to. Press your hand into your knee. Left arm in the air. And what you'll find by this pressing is your shoulder locks back into place. Your thigh locks back into place. Keep on breathing. Airplane pose with your bound hands behind you. Keep breathing. Choose selectively spots to place your drishti. Pull the pit of your belly in and keep on breathing. Different shapes challenge our breath in different ways. See if your body will fold more, if your hands will spill overhead. And then breathe into all those spaces between your ribs and the back of your body. Stay steady, hands to prayer. Half moon, right arm down, left arm up. What I've learned about myself over the years with balance, so sometimes it's building up strength. Sometimes it's a little more flexibility. If there's not much flexibility, more strength's required. But ultimately, what it really came down to for me is building up presence to stay in the thing. Often it just started with, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Sugar came. Then it came to, am I still breathing? And I was, but then that distracted my attention. Just listen to your breath. Steady, steady breathing. Yeah, listen to the room breathe. You're a part of that. Stretch out, forward fold. Come all the way up to standing. Get ready for standing bow pose. Right arm bone back. Roll open your elbow, forearm and palm. Hold your ankle from the inside. You could roll open your elbow and forearm, but not your palm, and hold it from the outside. But you have to take your arm bone back and open your elbow. Kick into your standing bow pose. Alex, you went under. Spin it out. You have got, yeah, and you can keep going. Can be a tricky grip to set up. Once you've got it from your center, like the core, abdominal space right at the bottom of your, right in the front of your pelvis, from that spot, out to your fingertips and out to your toes, maximum stretch. Come on out of the pose. We'll do the left side. Left arm back, reach back, hold your ankle from the inside. Spin it around and open. Spin your forearm open. And breathe. I'm going to help you spin this. This is such a tricky grip. Take this off. And you can even spin it inside further, Alex. You can take it, let me move it there. Feel the difference? You can still hold from the outside if you prefer. Let's do one more breath and step out. Feet on the floor, eyes on a spot, maybe a sigh. Let your system settle a little bit. Now, I'd hate to skip the second one because you're all ready for something really great. So let's do a second set of the standing bow pose. Learn from the first set and then just go for what's new and more and possible in this set. It will take something to achieve what's new and possible. It will take reaching for it, breathing for it. Different than just like conserving some energy and hanging on. Maybe just back off out of the pose if you feel like full effort, like the strength is gone now. Fullest expression, you stretch, reach right there to the edge of the pose. Stay right in the edge for just another breath. And come on out, feet on the floor, hands on your hips, and just steady yourself. Left side, arm bone back, open your forearm, hold your ankle from the inside. Reach for it. You notice as soon as you stop the reaching and the kicking, one or the other, the balance goes. It's going to have to be equally efforted and equal ease in the pose. Play with it for 2 more breaths. See what you can discover in your own body. And can you open your chest? And then step out. Front of your mat for tree pose. Left foot down, sole of your right foot to your left inner thigh. Press your palms together. Just the pressing of thigh to foot, hand to hand is oftentimes very settling. You could reach your arms overhead and lift your gaze to the ceiling, but reach as though you're going to lift off the floor and fly up to the ceiling. Or take any variation of tree pose that you feel like your body's called toward right now. And breathe. So this is a great final balancing pose to allow for us to be completely present with all the activity that's going on, balancing, heart rate up, breath working. Switch sides, right foot down, left foot up. It's moments like this in the practice that give us some of the results that most people bring up when they're asked, why do they do yoga? A little more peaceful, less angry, more less stressed out. It all comes from moments like this where there's a lot of stress in your body right now, a lot of physical stress, and you're tapping into your breath to keep cooling the stress or calming the stress. Fully present for the whole experience, good or bad, so that you then experience an experience instead of store it for another day. Okay, come on out. Come to the front of your mat. Once you get there, inhale and sweep your arms overhead. Fold for the floor as you exhale. Lift up halfway, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot inside of your right hand and open your body up for triangle pose. And just keep breathing through the whole process. Once you get into your triangle pose, work with what you're discovering. Whether you use a block or you have your hand on the floor, try putting your spider fingers down so that your palm is hollowing out and arcing up. And then you'll notice that your armpit does that too, that same hollowing quality. And when that happens, you have access to more length in this right bottom side of the pose. So from the crease of your right hip all the way out to the hollow of your right armpit. Keep making that side of your body long. Take your feet even longer apart. You have so much flexibility here. I'm going to give you this. Press here and just a touch of softness here. Yes. And then you'll wrap open instead of using your back of the knee flexibility. You feel it? Take your step a little bit longer too. Even longer. One more. There. That's more the edge, right? Now strong belly and press your feet into the ground. And on your next exhale, just drop your head back and look for Kelly behind you. Strong belly. Breathe. 2 more breaths. Kelly's right back here. So now you have to let your body go. Come on up to standing. Turn to face the long left side of your mat. Hands to your hips and lift your chest up high. Forward fold. Double check your feet. See to it that they're parallel to the short sides of your mat. Once you get the whole way down into the fold, walk your spider fingers ahead of you until your arches of your palms arc up and then your armpits get hollow. Then when that happens, take a breath in, and then as you exhale, sink your hips behind your heels. From every one of your fingertips, through your arm, through your armpits, through the sides of each one of your ribs, to the creases of your hips, create stretching. Maximum stretching. And then breathe into that and create more space. Just carve it out between each of your ribs. You just never think about the side of the body, but bringing and giving space into that area gives us access to things like a deep breath. One more breath here. Then walk your hands back in, come on up to standing and face the front of your mat for standing single leg forward fold, width between your feet and length between your feet, and press the 4 corners of your feet into the mat. Then as you're getting ready to fold, whichever hand motion you choose, right hip back, chest forward. Maybe you have bound hands behind your back or prayer hands behind your back. You choose and fold down. There'll be a need to soften your front knee or lift your back heel and just work with the pose. Good. Keep breathing. Press right. Hips back as much as they'll go. Let your chest sink through your arm bones. Now pull your right hip back, yeah. Twisting triangle, left hand to the block or floor under your left shoulder. Just keep pulling. Don't even worry about that. Hurting your shoulder? Yeah, there's a lot of fire in this. All right, unwind. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. You can build the left side triangle. Vinyasa for those of you who are looking for it, otherwise down dog, and step your left foot forward for triangle. Get right into the working of the pose. Put your feet on the floor and really sort out the front leg, that you get the four corners of your front foot to your back sitting bone, those 2 points stretching apart. Keep on breathing. Put your spider hands on the floor and get the hollow palm and the hollow armpit and stretch and turn. Keep breathing. Sometimes when you're thinking too much, there's no more breathing. But the breath's what's going to keep softening parts and letting you do new things. Good. Go a little bit longer apart with your feet. See how much straightness you can get in your front knee. Your back foot flat. Yeah. You got it. Good. Try going a little longer here. I think you could do a little longer. Yeah. Now, I told you how we're going from putting in effort to the place where we start letting go of effort. This is one of those spots. Put it in your belly, the pit of your belly, effort. Then you have to trust that. Many of you are flexible enough for this. Once the effort's in the pit of your belly, that's the foundation. You're stable. Take a breath in. And when you exhale, just drop your head back and let your chest open. You may need to move your fingers that are on the floor behind you a few more inches. And strong belly again, and drop your head back and look behind you. You keep looking. Yeah, you got it. See what else there is to see. Drop your head back. Nice, Nan. Everyone, come on up to standing. Face the long right side of your mat. Arms behind your back. Lift your chest up high. Forward fold. While you're folding, double check your feet. Make sure they're parallel to the sides of your mat, and then spill your hands overhead and breathe. Now, just because the teacher points out one area of your body you might feel in a pose, that doesn't mean it's the only area you could feel. It doesn't even mean it's necessarily the most intense or the least intense you could feel. Keep on breathing. While you're folded here with your arms spilling overhead, see if you can feel new space developing between each one of your ribs. That area in the backs of many of our bodies is almost like a dead zone. There's no movement anymore. And yet, it's the bottom of our lung capacity. Breathe. And let there be malleability between your back bottom ribs, even if it's right now only in your imagination. Okay, bring yourself back up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat, standing single leg forward fold. Go for it. Right with your breath, lift your chest up high and fold. Press your front foot's big toe down, a little more big toe Harold. Yep. And then just imagine someone's got the sides of your hips and they're pulling them evenly back. You opposite that, it can reach your chest toward your toes at the floor, reach your toes at the floor into the floor. Whenever you create equal and opposite actions in your body, right inside that space is where the yoga is. Look for that space and all the points in between, your hips moving back and your chest and heel moving forward. Twisting triangle. Right hand down. Keep your legs, keep your hips, body long, and maybe there's some turn. So your left hip, keep dragging it back rather than letting it swing toward the side. You may discover you take a variation like a reverse half moon. Put some weight in your back leg too, Kelly. I know it's like so many new things in one day. It's just, this is good enough. Leave me alone today. Pull your left hip back, Alex. And then open your chest. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Nice expressions. Someday, if you ever become the teacher and you get to watch the class, the way that you know that the class has gotten to the edge of their pose and had enough time to breathe in it, it's like the whole room, like there's more electricity. It gets brighter. Okay, come to a high plank and move down to your belly on your mat. We will take, if you've got a block, grab your block and have your block in front of you long. And then you can hug your block with your palms, not grip it with your fingers. So you'd peel your hands back and you just be kind of like this. Or you could even just do it between your forearms. And then toes, turn your toes under like they're in a push-up. So they're really anchored. And then you can stretch long and lift up. So if I'm on the floor is at my belly. I'm just taking this pose. Maybe I'll just keep my chin tucked. That's it. Yep, see if you can work your arms long. If they need to bend a little bit, like you can see Angie showing you here, that's just fine. You got it. A lot of good examples here in the room. Whole body long. Before there's any back bending, there's length and space. Come on down. Now just wiggle your hips from side to side, maybe a little micro wiggle, or bend your knees and fan your feet back and forth. Let's try that one more time just to see what we could get up to. If you have a second block, stick it between your legs. You can try pointing your toes this time so your toenails are touching the floor right now, and either keep them anchored or lift them. But we're looking for long, where the back of our shoulder blades stay wide and the back of our pelvis stays wide. You probably won't lift very high, and we're just looking to see what we could discover. Let your shoulders relax. Yep, one more breath. Come on down. Wiggle your hips from side to side. We'll take floor bow. You can do it one side at a time, so there'll be 2 sets. Bend your knees, reach back and hold your ankles. Shoulders roll back, kick back, and then up. Now, it's so tempting when we take back bends to let our knees go wide because it gets bigger looking and feeling. But then it all collapses in the lower back. Bring your knees closer together for many of you. You'll have to come down out of the pose a little bit. Come on down. You can wave your feet from side to side. So when we're back bending, at all costs, we're keeping space in the lower back, not letting it collapse. So it means we don't go maybe. For a back bend, we don't create a bigger one by getting lower and scrunching. We get a bigger back bend by getting broader and taller. And then that's actually what leads to the bigger back bends. Let's do a second set, or the other side. Set it up and go. Interesting arm variation, Kelly. I'm going to have to do that next time. She's got a crisscross of her forearms. Okay, come on down. Put your hands on the floor beside your bottom ribs and take an upward facing dog. Move to downward facing dog. Then you can just jump right through and sit down. We'll take a few bigger back bends, starting with bridge. So it's the same shape we just made, just a little bit more is at stake with gravity. Bend your knees, put your ankles underneath of your knees, and set them hip width distance. Set them up so that they're wide and parallel to the sides of your mats. Then press down and come on up, hips up. Now, the default is to just move your knees wide and really press your hips to the maximum up to the ceiling. Don't worry about how high your hips press. Get instead that you're able to make the pose powered by your back muscles, that there's a long, lean quality to your body, and your lower back is broad. And then come on down. You can move your knees from side to side. Moving through bridge into wheel, come up into the bridge, and then set your hands on the floor under your shoulders and a little wide, even off your mat wide. Then press your arms straight, hands into the mat, and come up into wheel pose. Just get up into this first one today and just feel how it's showing up in your body. Maybe see if you can shrug your shoulders up and down or give them some rolls. Tuck your chin and come on down and move your knees from side to side. So we've got what we've got today. Sometimes I get up there and like, oh, wow, my whole body's open today. Who knew? Other days I get up there and like, oh my gosh, nothing's open. Work with whatever there is and set it up, and let's go up into the next one. Now this time, maybe spend a few moments on your foundation, your hands and your feet. Choose them instead of them just being what happened. That would mean the rotation of your palms, the pressure in your palms and in your feet. See what that changes. And tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side. We're going to take 2 more. So the first of the 2, set it up, bridge into wheel, and go. If you feel like you've pressed your hips maximally to the ceiling, soften that a little bit. Bring them down like a 1/4 of an inch more to the floor and square your feet more to the sides of the mat. Okay, tuck your chin and come on down. We've got one more opportunity to take a back bend right here. So let's get it set up. Bridge or wheel, press down and rise up. Press down and rise up. Good. Breathe 5 breaths. Steady, easy breathing. And then tuck your chin and come on down. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together, knees open wide. This is a great spot maybe to just really set your gaze and soften it, or close your eyes. Let the body sink to the floor and the floor hold the body. And watch how your breath starts to settle and slow as you let the floor hold you. And then just be really present to what's going on for you physically and emotionally as a result of your practice. And let all of that be okay. Hug your knees into your chest. Legs straight up in the air. Then curl up and reach either forward to the front of your mat or reach up to your ankles. And then 10 times pulse. On the exhales, you pulse. You can soften your knees if you need to. Yep. Or just looking for stability. If this isn't the best move for you, you could soften your knees and let your toes rest on the ground. Or just looking to be stable rather than big movements. When you finish the 10th one, hug your knees into your chest. Then you can make tabletops with your shins and flex your feet. And press your palms against the tops of your knees, your thighs. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, just curl up and keep that tension between the two. Then breathe in, exhale, touch your heel and bring it up and press. Touch your heel, bring it up and press. So while you're doing that, it looks like this. Your shins, keep this 90-degree angle and you keep the pressure and press. We're just looking for this very lowest band of abdominal strength in the front of your pelvis to keep your hips stabilized. No feeling your weight rock from hip to hip. Try a few more and see what you can find. Tiny little exercise. And we're looking for tiny little strength, but substantial strength. Strength that has to do with your lower back feeling good for the rest of the day. Strength that has to do with you being able to stand up and not fall over as an older person. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock head to tail several times and through to downward facing dog. We'll take right side pigeon pose. Getting these like totally lowest abdominal muscles are like my new quest for myself. I tend to let my pelvis tilt forward and my lower back just take the brunt of the day. And it's just not the best plan. You might even want to come on up and with your left hand, reach for your left foot and fold down with that. So while we're here, stay open. There's a little bit less going on physically, and it'd be really easy to now start closing down all of the opening you have been creating breath by breath, listening for other people breathing, sharing your breathing. Switch to the other side. Once you've adapted, if you can reach for your left foot with your left hand and then fold, do that. Sit on your left hip, swing your right leg around, roll onto your back for plow pose or waterfall pose. Once you're on your flat back, you can roll your feet overhead to plow. Once you get there, hands to support your low back, Tuck your shoulders deep underneath of your body and make a really good, steady foundation out of your shoulders. You might be on your flat back with your legs straight up in the air in waterfall pose. That could be the best pose for you today. If you're going with that pose, you might just want your block underneath of your hips. If you do legs straight up in the air, put a long block under your hips so each side of your pelvis has some support. Whether you're going to waterfall or shoulder stand, get to the point where you're in the pose and you set your gaze and you have just steady breath while you hold it. Then if you're in the shoulder stand, bring your feet to the floor for plow pose. One bone at a time, roll out of this pose so that what you end up with is your back stretched out long on your mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Drop your knees to the left and look to the right. Let your body be easy here. Maybe take a sigh and see if there's even access to greater ease. More letting go. Sometimes the definition for me in my practice of ease is letting go of requiring something of my body, like meaning that it needs to be different than what it is right now. Letting it be whole, perfect, and complete, exactly the way it's showing up right now. And that it might include that it's got some injury it's healing. Switch to the other side. And take a breath. Have a sigh. Come to the center for Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together, knees open. Give yourself this moment to get your bones organized. Your pelvis to be supportive, your shoulder blades to be supportive. And even here, take a breath in. Let there be a sigh and let your system just settle. Then here in the studio, somewhere to your right or left, there's a cold eye towel. You're welcome to use that. Once you feel like you've got yourself pretty well set up, Shavasana. Stretch your legs and arms long and wide. Make your body comfortable here. Listen to what it needs and give it what it needs. And then once you have it pretty settled, have another breath with a sigh and sink, let go. This pose is the peak of a section of our sequence, which is a journey into power. This section is called deep rest. It's a chance to just be exactly as you are, whole, perfect, and complete, with nothing that needs to be done, nothing needs to be different or needs to be changed. Bye, Ray. Just let yourself go and just be. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring some movement to your fingers and your toes. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes. And hug your knees into your chest, roll to your side, and bring yourself up into a sitting position. And sit tall. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. As you exhale, bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest and pause here for a moment. Eyes closed, maybe, and give yourself a chance to just feel what you feel in your experience of being. What is your emotional experience, your physical experience? Whatever it is, it's exactly what it was meant to be right now. From right here, set an intention for the rest of your day. 3 times, let's chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. Take a breath in. Exhale. Namaste. Thank you all for being here. I know you're here, but it wouldn't be the same without you and Kelly from home. And even when people take our class later on that aren't here right now, it always makes a difference. It makes a difference, and that's why we do Aim to Empower. It makes a difference. It's why we come to our mats. So I hope to see you on your mat again soon. And come on June 19th and check us out at Open Streets and see what AIM is up to. We would love to have you knowing more about it and participating if you're interested. Thank you. Bye, Kelly. Have a good day.